Beautiful people, let's quickly talk about and go over the keys to victory for the part of Omaha, Nebraska, Terence Bud Crawford. Let's get into it, beautiful people. Now, I believe that one of the most violent and one of the most significant, most importantly, weapons of Bud that served him throughout his entire career, but will especially serve him in buckets for this fight, is his stab to the body from the southpaw stance. The way that Terence Crawford lands that violent right jab to the body, you can tell that it always gets a reaction out of his opponents. And when it gets a reaction out of his opponents, they immediately want to get it back to show him what's up. And Canelo, if you know anything about Canelo and Bud, they both have this trait. If you land a good punch on them, they want to get it back. Why? Is because they are simply two absolute dogs and killers. Now, when Bud throws the jab to the body, Canelo will come back, and what should Bud do? He should do what he does best, counter. And that is where we get into another key to victory for Bud Crawford. When Bud is in the high guard, I've always said this from all the tape that I have watched. You know, when Bud is in the high guard, in the southpaw stance especially, whatever you land on him, he always counters, and his check hook, the right hook, he throws it like a slingshot. And it is so unexpected and it is so violent and ferocious that it catches, more times than not, it catches his opponents. But this is what's good about Canelo Alvarez. This is what's great actually about Canelo Alvarez. He sees the counter coming, and that is why he always gets out. And that is why you always see Canelo leaning with his head and then backing off. It's because he's anticipating the counter. And that, I'm gonna make a separate video about Canelo's keys to victory, but let's continue with Bud. Another key to victory for Bud. He needs to roll with punches but not go up top to the head, because Canelo, he's a master of seeing punches coming to the head and blocking and countering. So actually, Bud Crawford is probably the greatest counter-attacker to the body of this era. And probably one of the greatest of all time when you talk about catching and shooting to the body. Especially with his uppercuts, violent uppercuts. I mean, listen, we saw it versus Ndongo, the way that he knocked him out. And we saw it when he hurt Majimov. The first time that he hurt Majimov in the fight was with body shots. He landed 2 uppercuts to the body, lead and back uppercut. So Bud, instead of catching and shooting to the head, I mean, yes, he should catch and shoot with the check hook to the head, but especially when you talk about uppercuts, he needs to go to the body. And third, when Canelo backs him up against the ropes, then he should shell in the high guard and counter Canelo with uppercuts but to the head. Is because, you know, Canelo, when he puts you up against the ropes, you can definitely time him and counter him. Because Canelo got better defense when he's in the center of the ring or when his back is against the ropes. But when he got you on the ropes, he just sits down and unloads with bombs. So he's more vulnerable to be caught. But again, we're talking about someone with one of the greatest chins in history. Also, another thing, circling to Canelo's left. I know that might sound dangerous by circling to Canelo's left, but with Canelo having an unbelievable left hook to the body and to the head. But when I mean circling to the left, it doesn't really matter what power hand they have, as long as you know your range and distance. So Bud can circle towards Canelo's left and right without a problem, as long as he knows his distance. And actually, that is something that Andre Ward used to do extremely well versus southpaws. A lot of times he used to circle to their power hand without a single worry. Why? Is because he's measuring their distance. He knows the distance. And Bud Crawford, you know, him and Canelo, they are unbelievable when it comes to knowing their distance. Another thing, beautiful people, another thing. You know, Bud Crawford needs to get his respect versus Canelo. He cannot pot shot Canelo and leave it to the 3rd and 4th round. Because if he does that, Canelo's gonna run him over. But Bud is not that type. We have never seen Bud do that, and we will never see Bud do that, especially at 37 years old. Another thing, Bud can't box Canelo. He gotta fight in some. I mean, yeah, of course he's gonna box in some spots, but I mean he can't just keep staying on the back foot all night long, and he will not. One thing I promise you, beautiful people, Bud Crawford will not run from Canelo. Not because he's fighting Canelo, it's because simply Bud never ran from anyone in his entire life, and he's not gonna start running when he's at his heaviest and when he's at nearly 38 years old. I promise you, beautiful people. For good or worse, he will not run. I promise you. Now, if he managed to do all these things, which is much easier said than done. But like I said, if you want to slow Canelo down, you gotta go to the body and you gotta weather the early storm. Listen, Canelo is an absolute marauder. If you go back and watch all his fights, listen, first 5 to 6 rounds, Canelo is so dangerous. He's dangerous throughout the fight, but especially early on, is because he's putting so much steam behind his punches. It's natural for any human to slow down, especially when you sit down on all your punches. I mean, listen, Canelo, the reason why he's slowing down more times than not while he's going up in weight is because he got to put more on his punches. He got to sit down to gain the respect of all these big guys. So you can't really fault Canelo. He's actually doing the right thing, but it's just human nature. So these are the main keys to victory for Bud Crawford. I'm going to make a separate video about the keys to victory for Canelo Alvarez, and my God, you don't want to miss that.